From attic to basement, we're here for you. It's quality service in all we do. Call Taylor. 500 help.
That's right, Taylor. 500 help. Taylor Heating and Plumbing for all of your furnace, water heater, air conditioner issues. Taylor 500 help. You know what? They even fix those drafts in your house. They do insulation, Tom. Did you know that? I mean, they did us up a nice air conditioner this past summer, right? But Tom is shaking his head.
I don't think my mic is live.
I think your mic is live. Yeah, I think it is. Tailor-made service is customized to fit all your needs. Air conditioning is what we needed last summer, and they came in and they did that in a day. And it was fabulous because we really needed heating, plumbing, home energy, comprehensive maintenance plans, and financing. Don't stress all the important repairs or replacements because you think, man, I'm not going to be able to afford a new furnace. That is why Taylor Heating and Plumbing has financing plans that can help you out. Taylor, if you're looking for a job, they're hiring. Here are some of the current opportunities. HVAC techs, plumbers, project managers, office personnel. It's all with Taylor Heating and Plumbing. They've been doing this for a number of years. Taylor 500 help. Precision Lawn and Garden. They say it's going to be a snowy March. If you don't have, a good enough snowblower, or maybe it just crapped the bed already, you want to get on up and talk to Kimberly and Justin at Precision Lawn and Garden. They've been servicing surrounding areas, professional sales service, and parts since 1969. They know a thing or two at Precision Lawn and Garden. Snow blowers, chainsaws, lawn mowers, all of your favorite brands, Toro, Kawasaki engines, Cub Cadet, Aaron's. Precision Lawn and Garden, North Avenue in Webster. And of course, Express Sealers, 645-2010, 645-2010. They do more than just seal driveways in the summer. They make sure in the winter that your business parking lot and that your residential driveway is clear of snow. So if you have a snowplow driver that didn't show up, call Brian. He will. Express Sealers, 645-2010, 645-2010. And please support our advertisers. They do support us here at Kimberly's Revolution and the We the People podcast network.
Is this on? Hello, is this on?
This is on.
I hear you.
We're live. Live from the We the People broadcast studio in cloudy 37-degree Irondequoit, New York.
Woo-hoo!
She's ready to adopt all the Persian cats out of Ukraine.
That's true.
Sign her up. Here she is. It's Kimberly Ray.
So true. I want to adopt all of the Persian kitties and the doggies. I'll take the doggies too. I have room for those. But in all seriousness, we have a great guest today that is about, serious stuff. And we look at some of these people sometimes and we think, God bless them, that there are people like our guest out there in the world to make this world a better place when there's, so much, sadness and alone people. And then there are people willing to take orphans into their home. So we're going to kind of break down that story today. And Jill Krenzer is in studio, and I want to introduce her in just a second. I'm Kimberly from Kimberly's Revolution. Of course, we ask you to support our advertisers because we couldn't do the show without Taylor Heating and Plumbing and without Express Sealers and without, of course, Precision Lawn and Garden. We love Kimberly and Justin in Webster. So we hope that if you need something, if you need your furnace looked at, that you'll call Taylor 500 help, or if you need a snowblower or a lawnmower, sooner or later, your grass is going to grow in Rochester. Maybe May. I don't.
Especially mine.
I don't know.
Lori does nothing but fertilize the stuff.
So I am Kimberly of Kimberly's Revolution. Of course, just Tom is sitting across from me, and Chad Hummel is not here today. This is usually the day when Chad is in with us. Chad is the broker attorney for Revere Realty, and he has his own. Today, Chad is in court. His court date, I can't even believe it's gotten this far. I mean, it's so ridiculous. But if you might remember, last spring, he was arrested at his son's outdoor baseball game, and we're still doing this, guys. So hopefully it goes to court at what, 5?
Something like that.
Is he right up the street?
Yeah, right at the town hall.
He's right at the street. So we hope that this is the end of the end.
I'm voting for. I'm predicting lethal injection.
Are you? Are you?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. He's just going to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. So Chad is not here today, but we of course stand with Chad as we always do. And I know he was stressing this a little bit. He just wants it to be over. It's so ridiculous to think that you could get arrested for not wearing a mask at your son's outdoor baseball game.
Standing 150 feet away from anybody else.
Yeah.
And by the way, here we are today when I think the kids went back to school today. Right,
Yep.
Jill? You have children.
Yes, hallelujah.
They went back and they could show their beautiful little kiddo faces. They didn't have to wear a mask today. Thank you. Oh, godless one, Kathy Hochul,
Yeah. Wow.
the supreme all being. Thank you. I guess that's what she wants to do is bow down, and it shouldn't have been that way in the first place.
I wish that was the only thing I was fighting for my kids right now.
Right?
Yeah.
I know.
It's true.
You know, of course, it was never about the science, really. It was all about the politics and the taking away of your freedoms. So that is where we are. And of course, Austin, our producer, is here. Austin is always giving the big thumbs up. There he is. Austin, how you doing today? You good?
I'm good.
All right. Austin's good.
Yeah.
I sent him a bunch of pictures because Jill Krenzer is in our studio, and Jill is a mom. You are a wife. You live in Brockport.
Yep.
And a friend of mine reached out to me, I guess it was last week, and said, hey, Lori Ackroyd, how do you know Lori Ackroyd?
Her granddaughter used to live across the street from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to give a little background, Lori Ackroyd, going back to like 2008, 2007, was hired as the nanny for my daughter because I was going through a divorce. And I left the house to do morning radio at 3 a.m. And so Lori applied for the position, and I hired her to be my nanny. And she's still with us. She still house sits and stuff like that, and
that's
cat sits
awesome.
and dog sits. So Lori reached out to me and said, there's this lady, and her name is Jill. And this whole Ukrainian thing is a nightmare for the family because they've adopted one child from Ukraine, and they're in the process of trying to adopt 2 more. And now they just don't know where they're at. I mean, everything's kind of up in the air. Do you want to talk to her? And I said, absolutely, I want to talk to her. So I called you, and you've been very busy. I mean, you've been, doing a lot of talking, doing the circuit. But this is serious. I mean, so tell us a little bit about your family. And I know you're a member of Host Orphans Worldwide. That's the organization that you belong to, that you got involved with so
Yes.
that you could adopt these kids from Ukraine that have never had a family, never had anyone to love them or take them to the park or, whatever.
So, my family structure,
Mhm.
I'm married, my second marriage. I have 2 biological children.
Okay.
And
there's your lovely family.
There's my family.
There's your family.
So my kids are on each end, my bio kids. They're all my kids, but my bio kids are on each end. And then my bonus kids are the big guy in the back, the towers over us all.
Yeah.
And the girl second in from the right, looking at the picture.
How many bathrooms are in your house?
We have 2 full baths and 2 half
okay.
baths.
Oh,
Yes, they need that.
all right. Sounds good.
We actually
Well-
could use a couple more.
Yeah. Well, as realtors, we can
Yes.
help you find that. Of
Perfect,
course.
perfect.
We can help you sell your house and help you find one.
That was the
But-
point of my question.
Oh, I see,
Of course. It's a beautiful family.
Thank you. And then Kyle is in the front, the taller of the 2 boys in the front. He's our boy that we adopted from Ukraine. We brought him home last March.
Okay.
And the little guy I have my hand on his chest is Vanya, and he is actually Kyle's best friend from the same orphanage. And we kind of shared him with a family last summer because a family in Greece, a friend of a friend, hosted him last summer because we got home with Kyle literally days before we had to decide whether we could host for summer. We
I
weren't
see.
sure how the settle-in process would
Right,
go.
Right, of course.
So there was a family in Greece who stepped up and said, we'll host him. And they shared him with us quite a bit. So
I love that.
yeah, we got the boys together a lot. And I watched Vanya here and there for them. And then this winter, he came and stayed with us during the winter hosting season for 4 weeks.
Do we have the picture of Kyle up there? I don't know if you have the picture. There he is. So Kyle is actually adopted from the Ukraine.
Yes.
And he's here. So explain. I mean, you have anyone that has kids is like, oh my God, the kids are driving me crazy. But you had the kids and said, we'd not only like these kids, but we'd like to adopt some more kids, right?
What the
It's
hell?
just like, it is kind of like me with cats and dogs. I mean, 2 or 3 is never enough. I want to adopt, all of them. But this is a big family decision. I mean, it's a financial decision. It's a, how is it going to affect the household decision? So what in your life with you and your husband, what discussion, how did this come up that you said, let's reach out and try to give a home to a child that doesn't have one?
When they say once you have 3, it doesn't matter.
It really
anymore.
doesn't matter
Is
after
that
that,
true?
right?
Financially, it does matter.
Yeah, it certainly does. It certainly does.
And honestly, with a kid like Kyle, it does matter. Kyle is a fantastic kid. He has an amazing heart. He is jovial. With the kid, with his background, especially once we learned all of it, it's amazing how happy he is.
Yeah.
But he is very ADHD, very scatterbrained. He's just very hard to keep track of.
He's a boy.
So he's normal.
He is a boy.
He is a boy, but
he's a
he's
boy.
also, he's not malicious, but he's very destructive. He likes to try to figure out how things work. And he thinks he's fixing things. Like he took a 4-wheeler down to the tires in the frame because he was fixing it.
Nice.
So
Okay.
yeah. So there's things like that. Yeah, but he's a great kid. And as far as how we decided,
How did you get involved? One, how did you get involved with Host Orphans Worldwide, and how did you make a decision that you were going to start the process of adopting a child from Ukraine from an orphanage?
Well, I always wanted a big family.
Yeah.
My husband never thought he'd have kids or get married. And here we are.
Well, there you are.
Then he met me.
Hello, honey. Right?
You already had 2. That's not enough.
Yeah.
So he, I always had adoption on my heart. We had tried to have our own and ran into some issues. Then we took some foster care classes, decided foster care wasn't right for our family.
Foster care is tough.
Yes. There's
Foster
a lot
care
of
stuff.
things about foster care
Yeah.
people don't understand.
Yeah.
When it came down to it, we finished the classes, we were ready to go, and we
Yeah.
just decided it wasn't best for us.
Yeah.
And I thought our journey was over. We had 2 failed adoptions of domestic infants. And I thought our journey was over. He basically said, if somebody drops off a kid on our front doorstep, then cool,
Yeah.
but we're not pursuing it.
Yeah, because it's gut wrenching, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, you get
It
your
is.
hopes up and then
It is. So, and never ever did we think we would do anything with an older child. Even with foster care, we were looking for the little ones.
Yeah.
We thought the smaller you get them, the less trauma they've had, which isn't always true.
right.
But anyways, so summer of 2019, June, Facebook friend, I was just happened to be scrolling Facebook and saw that she was welcoming a boy at the airport. And so I
Wow.
reached out to her and I said, "What are you doing? Are you adopting?" And she said, "No, I'm just hosting." And I had never heard of such a thing. So I watched her journey. Within a couple of weeks, she was only in it to host, and she decided to adopt. And so I proposed it to my husband, and he said, "All right, well, we'll try it."
Yeah.
And I think
Very hesitant.
I
right?
think he thought we would bring the kid here and figure it out while the kid was here or when he left.
Right.
And I already had my mind made up as soon as I saw Kyle's picture.
So they send you a picture of Host Orphans Worldwide.
So they have a website, and before hosting season, so the winter hosting, I'm sorry, this summer hosting had just come out, the list a couple weeks ago. And you get a password and login information, and then you can scroll the kids and read about them and see their faces and call and ask questions, and they'll tell you what they know about the kid, and you can make a decision.
Right.
And so with our situation, I called them and said, "Listen, my husband, if we're going to do this, he wants a boy because we already have so many girls, and he wants them to be as young as possible. And the youngest that comes through the program is 7 years old.
I get you.
So he was 8 at the time. And we want an only child because we were hoping for no surprise siblings, which can happen. Because we thought it was one and done. That's what he kept telling me. One and done.
Right. Right. So the process was simple. Well, I don't know how simple, but you hosted.
Yep.
And then you'd made up your mind that Kyle was going to join your family.
Yes.
And then you started the adoption process. And this was, and when did Kyle arrive? And did he stay or did he have to go back?
He had to go back.
He had to go back until the adoption thing was.
Well, hosting and adoption are separate.
Okay.
So you host, and then if you decide you want to adopt, that's through an adoption agency. So that's totally
separate. Okay.
Yeah.
So the host Orphans Worldwide, which you're a team member of, which is a 501c3 nonprofit, they don't do any of the adoption. They just help you host.
Yes.
And it kind of gives you an idea. Okay, what's this kid all about? What's this kid's needs? What is the level of trauma, or is there no trauma, or,
and how are they going to mesh with your family and all of those
How's
things?
everything going to work out?
Right.
So you did. He went back to Ukraine. You followed through with the adoption.
Yep.
Seamless?
Well, COVID hit. A couple weeks later, COVID hit.
You can't win. First COVID, now a war.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
that's what I keep saying. I thought COVID was hard, and then a war hit, and I mean, this makes COVID look easy. So
you have Kyle, and he's fitting in, and I'm sure there are things that a family has to adapt, just as you would to anything, a new baby, an adopted orphan from Ukraine. Are there? I know, right? Are there language issues, or does he speak?
No, he didn't speak. Well, when he came for hosting, he spoke very little English. He had been hosted before by other families. So he did know a couple words, but that was about it.
Okay.
Very quickly after returning to Ukraine, he lost it all.
Oh, we did.
Yes.
Oh,
so when he came back again last year, it was very, very little. A lot of charades.
Yeah.
A lot of, figuring it out.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you decided, we love this, right?
I just have such a heart for it. I can't. And once we were there and you see all these kids in the orphanage,
Like, I want them all.
Well, I want to save them all.
I know.
It's like, I don't know that I want them all in my own house, but I certainly don't want them all there.
Right.
So,
right.
So I started recruding friends,
I
which
know,
has been
right?
helpful, but it's not nearly enough. So
tell me about, because here we are, Putin is doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's in it to win it. I don't think that he's, going to pull back. So now we have a war in the Ukraine because Putin wants to take over the country for its vast resources and everything else that the Ukraine has to offer. He wants, right? It's money to him. It doesn't care about the people or the orphans or the families, or
he doesn't even care about his own people.
He doesn't care about his own people.
Doesn't care about anything.
He just sees the vast resources that the Ukraine has, and the bombing has been incredible today. So after Kyle, there's just a picture. So after Kyle, you thought, let's host again, and you did.
Well, honestly, we were at the orphanage and we were already asking about other kids before we left.
I like how you think. I like how you work. You're my kind of people.
Even my husband, when it was like one and done, Jill, this is one and done. This is it. Like, we're bringing him home, and that was it. But then we got there, and it's really hard to look at these kids and go, too bad for you.
This one won the lottery and you did not. It's tough.
So, we actually were asking about some kids beforehand, but I already had a little bit of a relationship with Vanya because when you send kids back from hosting, you can get them a phone and have depends on the age of the kid and the orphanage, but some access to talking to them. And sometimes when Kyle would call me, Vanya would be there too. So,
okay. So you knew of this kid named Vanya.
Yes.
And did you host him?
Well, this past winter we did.
You did this past winter. Can we see a picture of Vanya? That's the family picture. That's Vanya.
That's Vanya.
Right? That's Vanya. Can we see the picture of Vanya and Jan? There they are. There's Vanya. He's the oldest, right? How old is Vanya?
Vanya's 9.
And you hosted him over the winter. Mm-hmm. From when to when?
Mid-December to mid-January.
Mid-December to mid-January.
Yeah, his blue eyes really melt you, don't they?
He is something.
Is that
the sweetest kid?
Is that Vanya's brother?
It is.
And he is what, 7?
Yeah, he's almost 8.
And his special needs. So, and I know this is so emotional for you. I understand. I completely. I mean, look at those faces. Mm-hmm. So you hosted not the brother, but just Vanya, correct?
Right.
Not the little one.
Right. The little one had just been moved to the same orphanage right when our team went over to interview for winter hosting.
Okay.
And the director wasn't ready to send him. And actually, quite honestly, we had to fight for him to be put on the list for summer hosting. And they finally agreed. We were going to have to jump through a lot of hoops to do it and make it happen. But they were going to allow him to come this summer. So we were able to get him on the list, and we were going to be able to meet him this summer.
And now what, Jill?
Now they are stuck in their orphanage, sleeping in the basement, which is like a bomb shelter.
Yeah.
Running out of food and water. And we have teams that have flown over and are trying. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I understand.
They're trying to get them out. Last I knew, they were still at their orphanage.
Yeah.
I don't know if moving has started
where
yet.
is this specifically, this orphanage?
I'm not allowed to say
Oh.
exactly. I can say it's in the southeastern part of where things are.
Where things are happening.
When you got the map
South.
last Wednesday of all the bomb hits, there were several in their area, and many other of our orphanages areas, because we deal with several orphanages throughout the
So
country.
southeast, that's in the old war zone then.
Oh, it's the current war
Yeah,
zone.
well,
too.
I mean,
Right.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
south by Crimea down that way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
talking
there.
with, and by the way, our guest today is Jill Krenzer. She is a mom in Brockport and has adopted one little boy, Kyle, from Ukraine, and it was in the process of hosting and starting the adoption process. So you couldn't take Vanya without Jan.
You cannot adopt.
They come as a team.
Yes, without siblings.
And you were okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, ever since I saw his picture last year, I've really, I don't know. I've just fallen in love with him.
The faces speak to you.
I think everybody thinks I'm crazy, including my family and probably most of my friends.
Not any crazy. No, I don't think you're crazy at all. I think you have a heart that is 10 times too big for your teeny little body. And again, I'm just going to say, thank God to people like yourself.
Right.
Otherwise,
the Lord only gives you what you can handle.
Where would we be? Yeah. So have you talked to Vanya at all? I mean, I know you said you had a cell phone that you sent him with, right?
Well, I sent one with Kyle. And then he brought it with him when he came home. It was a mess. So we, when he came for summer hosting, we sent him back with the tablet. You're only able to send them something very inexpensive because it can really make them a target.
Okay.
I think
within the orphanage.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think that they thought that it was for him to play on and didn't understand it was for him to communicate on. And I believe it was taken away in the translation. I think that that's what he was trying to tell me, was that they took it away from him. So after winter hosting, I was going to send him back with a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Ukrainian SIM card did not come before he had to go back. So our team was going to take it over.
So you have to get a Ukrainian SIM card.
Not always, but I was trying to get one for him to make it easier.
Mm-hmm.
And our team was supposed to go over to Ukraine to do interviews for summer hosting, like a week or two after he left. So I told him that the team would bring it for him. I sent it to Wyoming to a team member. They were going to bring it and get a SIM card and set it up for him. And then the night before the trip is when they started evacuating, like recommending that Americans evacuate and evacuating the embassy and everything.
Right.
And so the trip got canceled. So Vanya never got a phone that I promised him. And I have had one phone call that actually a network through a Facebook friend who's actually one of the kids over there friended me during my journey with Kyle. And she reached out to a girl at that orphanage that she's friends with and had that girl hook me up with a conversation with Vanya a couple of weeks ago. But I haven't heard from him since.
Yeah.
So I was asking yesterday for other parents with kids in that orphanage to please, pass along messages to him so that he knows that we haven't given up on him.
So Jill, the embassy is closed, right?
Yeah.
The embassy is closed, but have you talked to anyone in DC? Have you talked to anyone who can pull strings to get things, moving along for you guys? I mean, the goal is to get the kids out of the Ukraine, right? And get them adopted.
That's ultimately the hope. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Host Orphans Worldwide, the executive team, as well as other hosting organizations, and I've talked to my adoption social worker, and they're all speaking to State Department and other, representatives. I spoke
Right.
with Joe Morielli at the Ukrainian Cultural Center on Saturday.
Okay.
I met with him, and and I've talked to his immigration, the guy that works for him,
Right.
that does the immigration stuff.
The immigration team. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're all just, everybody all over the United States is lobbying their senators and their,
I can imagine.
We're doing everything we can to try to just make sure that we know. I mean, these are unprecedented times. I mean, who would have known?
Who would have ever thought? I mean, we say, some people can slide through life without issues, but here you are trying to adopt children and first COVID, which put a delay on things, and now a war. And I know you said the kids are in a bunker. Are they in danger, do you think? Are they going to move them? Are they moving them?
They're in a bunker.
They're in a bunker, but do you think they'll move them? And if they move them, how will you ever track where they are?
So the hope is, there's certain things I'm not at liberty to say for the safety of the kids.
Of course.
But the master plan is, praying that it works, is to get buses to get these kids out, get them to train stations or by bus, but the infrastructure is awful.
Mm-hmm.
Roads and bridges have been blown out.
Of course.
So there's logistical issues and safety issues and trying to get them out and towards a border and out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Then once they're out of there, we have a team that we sent over that actually flew out today to meet them as they cross the border, and they know what kids are ours. And so they can, I shouldn't say ours. I mean, obviously they don't belong to us, but
you feel like they're yours.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
But, for legal purposes, they are not our children.
Right.
But they know who has relationships with what kids and those kinds of things. And so they can start to try to, thank you.
I know.
Sorry.
The cameras go off after 20. That's what kind of cameras we buy here on Kimberly's Revolution. The kind of cameras that go off 20 minutes.
And you told me to press the button and I'm not paying
worries.
attention, even though the thing's gray like you told me it would be.
No worries.
So ultimately the hope is to get them out, get them to safety to whatever country they can get them to, and then to start processing their paperwork. And, the kids who have had passports already for hosting will be a lot easier, but kids like Jan that do not will be more
the younger,
difficult.
the little brother right there.
Yes.
But you're not the only, there are other people here in Rochester, other families.
Yes.
That are hosting these children for the summer and then adopting them. Austin, can we see some of those other pictures? Now, who is this kid? What a cute kid. Look at that face.
My God.
Yeah, he's an awesome kid. This is Alexi. He is, there's a family in Hamlin that's in the process of adopting him.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. And then who else do we have? We have.
This is Maxim, and Maxim is being,
so cute.
There's a family in Honeoye that's adopting Maxim.
In Honeoye. That's awesome. And then,
yeah.
Do we have one more? I thought we had one more.
We have a couple more, I think.
Look at that face on that kid.
This is Alexi as well. He's another Alexi. He's being adopted by a family down in Hammondsport.
How did Bobby Brady get in there?
It does look. These kids have to be ecstatic, right? To come to America and be adopted by good people in the Rochester area.
Mm-hmm.
What a great place for a kid to grow up.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great place.
Yeah. I mean, especially compared to where they are.
I know.
Jill,
there are two more local ones too. I'm not sure, if their pictures didn't get added or to the email or whatever. I'm not sure, but there are two more also, one in Penfield and one in Hilton that are
they're
also being
And
pursued.
I know Hilton has a lot of Ukrainian families. I don't know if this is a Ukrainian family, but
they are not.
They are not.
No.
Yeah.
Jill, this stress that you're on right now can't be something, because all the warning signs were out there. The government was telling Americans to get out of Ukraine. How did you proceed knowing that this was coming? And you must have been frantic prior to this trying to work with whatever agencies you could find to get them out, because didn't most people know this was kind of coming?
Well,
But
so
how did you even deal with that emotionally?
So most of the parents honestly are pretty infuriated because
Right, exactly.
as a hosting organization, we had been trying for weeks, and I know other ones had too, to get the kids here on an extended hosting visa. So to get them here now, well, weeks ago, on an extended visa that would have gotten them here for like 6 months. And then hopefully at that point, it would have been either settled down or it would have been something we could try to extend or whatever. The embassy was willing to work with us. It came down to the government entity that oversees the orphans in Ukraine, and the orphanage directors themselves would not let the kids go. They didn't want them to miss school. But the problem is
they didn't want them to miss school. There's a war coming, but no worries.
But the problem is that we can't understand here is Russia's been threatening for like 8 years.
Right.
And so we were checking with our facilitators constantly over there. And they kept telling us it's business as usual. Everything's fine here. There's nothing different. So they really, honestly, I don't think they saw it coming.
All these tanks and 150,000
are rolling in onto the border,
are sitting on the border.
Right. I don't know. I mean, they just were. They seemed to be like they were in denial. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Maybe they were. I mean,
yeah,
maybe they were in denial. Maybe they just said, "Well, this is
he's bluffing."
Putin. He's just, he's got the hair up on his back. He's like, he's the guy. He's going to mark his territory. But here we are now. So where are we? I mean, as far as you haven't had any contact with the boys, obviously,
right?
And haven't heard whether or not you'll get them over to host long term,
right,
for an extended hosting,
right?
I mean, that's so crazy, and they probably don't have any idea what's going on, right? Do you think?
Well, they do. I mean, they do in the fact that, for sure, in the fact that there's war,
right?
Other parents are getting messages from their kids. Little Alexi that had the Yoda there, was messaging there he is, his host mom the other day that missiles were being dropped and that they were running to the basement, and they lost power on Sunday. They definitely know what's going on, and what's really sad is a lot of these kids are messaging their parents, reassuring their parents, "Oh, don't worry about me, we're okay, everything's fine," as we're telling them we love them and that stay safe and this and that. They're telling us, "Oh, they're fine, they're fine." They're very tough kids, very, very tough.
They've had to be
kids, absolutely.
Right? They've had to be tough and brave. They're growing up in an orphanage,
right?
I mean,
that doesn't mean there's not trauma, but they definitely are very brave, tough kids. So
right.
So yeah, they definitely have an idea of what's going on. As far as people coming to take them out of there, I think some of the older ones do know. And some of the ones who have communication with their parents probably do know. And therefore, the younger ones might know too. There is an Instagram page for the orphanage that our kids are at.
Oh, okay.
And they did have pictures last week of them like preparing for evacuation the day before the bombs hit. So
what do you tell your son, Kyle, whom you adopted? And how long have you had him in your house? How long? Has it been a year?
It'll be a year, March 31st.
So it'll be a year this month.
Yeah.
What do you tell him about what's going on with his best friend, Vanya, and his brother? Does he ask? Does he say, "Hey, when's Vanya coming back?" I mean, does he comprehend that there's a war going on?
Well, the funny thing about Kyle is he doesn't really have a desire. He definitely doesn't want to live in Ukraine, but he does have a desire to go back for 5 days to see Vanya. That's what he says all the time. I'll go back for 5 days and visit and see.
That's it. Not 4.
No.
Not 6.
No, 5 days.
5. That's it. 5.
So he does talk about that. I was trying to kind of shield him from what was going on because he's a kid. He's been through so much in his life, and I just didn't feel like it was his problems. But there was an email that came out from his school this weekend about it and talking to your kids about it, because there are quite a few Ukrainian kids in his school and one in his class.
Right. I mean, I just don't know. And how old is he? He's 10?
He's 11.
He's 11.
Yeah.
That, there's a war going on, that the Russians are dropping bombs. It's got to freak a kid out.
You would think so, yeah.
And he knows his friend is there. He knows his friend was supposed to come.
Yeah.
And
So
be his brother.
I did end up talking to him about it. And I basically just said to him, that we were working to try to get the kids out and get them safe. And, we were doing everything we could. And that was, I think, Saturday night. And yesterday morning, he came to me before school and he said, Mom, did you get the kids out? And I said, no, buddy, not yet.
Yeah.
But I said, no matter what happens, I want you to know that Mom did everything she could. Yeah. She worked so hard and did everything she could.
And still doing everything you can.
Still doing everything.
Still doing everything.
It's not over till it's over. It's
I
been
have
a roller
feeling
coaster.
you don't get in the way of Jill Krenzer when she's on a mission.
You don't mess with my family.
I know.
These kids, as far as I'm concerned, they may not legally be my family, but they are my family.
I'm sure you're watching the news a lot, right?
No.
You're not, really?
Absolutely not.
How much of your sources that you have that are in country, I mean, with all this, the Russians are putting out propaganda and the Ukrainians, how much of this do you think is actually true? The news that Americans are seeing as opposed to what you're hearing out of country?
I don't know a lot of what's on mainstream media about it, honestly. I know that I have Facebook friends who are saying, oh, it's all Hollywood drama and this and that.
I don't think so.
I can guarantee you that is not true. Besides having these kids over there and having, access to people who are talking to these kids and know what's going on. There's also, I have friends over there that we've made, and I have friends here with families there. And so
it's real.
It is absolutely real. And it is absolutely terrifying and heartbreaking. And so I honestly don't know what's on mainstream media, to be honest. I don't pay attention.
And how angry are you? And I don't know how politics plays a role in your life, but how angry are you that as the United States of America, as our president, did not do enough to shut down Putin's, power move?
Furious.
Yeah, it could have been done easy, way earlier. We could have, shut down. I mean, we're buying oil from Russia. Why are we doing? We're funding it. We're, putting money in their pocket. Why are we doing that? I mean, and I don't think the sanctions came early enough, and I don't think they're harsh enough. I know as a mom, you're probably going through in your head, why didn't we threaten to shut him down earlier?
Well, yeah, and I mean, we had agreements from the 90s, saying that we weren't, we would protect them, and we're not.
Right.
And they should have shut down the airspace.
They should, we finally did that last night.
It's ridiculous.
During the State of the Union, a week and a half, and we just shut down the airspace.
Oh, you mean the state of confusion where he sat there and called them Iranians? I mean, come on. Come on.
And you see Kamala in the background mouthing Ukrainians.
And then they clap.
Or whatever Nancy Pelosi was doing. That is so bizarre to me.
So yes, it's infuriating.
It has to be.
There's so much more that we feel could have been done.
I know that you're politics isn't your thing with this, story, but you have to sit back and go, really, this whole thing could have been avoided.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, in the giant, scheme of things, it could have been avoided. Putin could have been shut down.
And then it could have been shut down quickly.
Yeah.
And even when it started. And
2 boys you're trying to adopt in a freaking orphanage bunker, for crying out loud, and trying to get, I think, people don't really understand war until it hits them, right? You certainly do.
Yeah. But, I was talking to my girlfriend who's the mom of the boy from Hamlin, and the other day, and I said, this really puts a whole new perspective on war, because when people there, and I'm seeing tanks go down the road and go out of their way to run over cars. And
Right.
we were in a car right there last year, right there. It just puts a whole new perspective on it. And I have the chaperone that brought Kyle over when he came for hosting, contacting me last night, begging me for help for supplies because he's setting up like shelters and things in his area.
And who even knows if they'll get the supplies?
And I don't even know
that's the
how
thing.
to help him. So
Right.
if there's somebody who knows how to get stuff over there, I mean, please let me know. But,
Right.
He's begging me for help. And I told him I would do everything I can, but
It's heartbreaking.
I don't logistically know how to do that.
So you don't know. I mean, you could get these 2 boys or you could not
Or I
At
may
this-
never see him again.
at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
the crazy thing in all this. And these are the victims of war.
Yes.
We see but
100%.
these are the real victims.
100%.
They're the
Of,
forgotten ones. I just want to mention, there are kids in orphanages over there who the directors and staff just fled and left the kids. And I mean, some of the kids are able-bodied kids, but some of them are young kids with Down syndrome and severe disabilities.
right, of course.
And they were just left behind. These kids are truly the forgotten ones.
That's just evil.
And it's
Yeah.
really just a matter of time before it's all of them,
Well,
because
once
all these
the-
people have family. And
Once the money stops flowing to these organizations, these people are just, all for one
They're
for all.
they're left behind.
And, the kids are left for
Yeah.
the whoever's left to try to pick it up.
And so here we are trying to get, children out to host families here in Rochester. And this is
Small
what we
world.
have to deal with. I am sorry that you're going through all of this because it is heartbreaking
it is.
because you already feel like they're your children. You've had Kyle for a year. How has he been adapting in the last year?
Really
what are,
well.
what are the, what are the
There you go.
changes? That's Vanya, right?
Yeah, that's Vanya.
So what
And
are the
Kyle.
changes you see in Kyle in the year that he has been with your family?
There's some trauma things that we have seen with him that have diminished. They're maybe not totally gone, but have definitely improved
Mhm.
greatly. He's a pretty easygoing kid. His English has picked up really, really well.
I can imagine kids are really good at that.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, he-
easier than
He does have learning delays.
Mhm.
So he is probably at a pre-K to kindergarten level, even though he's in 5th grade, as far as learning his letters and learning to read and things like that. So we're way behind with that stuff, but he really, as far as life goes, he's really adapting well. He's just, just a happy-go-lucky kid, just loves life. And
just the longer he's with you, the better, the more at ease he gets.
yeah,
The language will come. What was Vanya eating on that plate?
he was eating spaghetti.
Spaghetti.
The 2 things he always wanted were spaghetti, and he eats it plain, not even salt on it, nothing. Sticky noodles.
Sticky
And-
noodles.
And hot, he calls hot dogs sausage.
Uh-huh.
And so he would want sausage and spaghetti like
Uh-huh.
almost every meal.
Does-
And
Does he teach you Ukrainian words? Do you speak a little?
we know a few. Like we call Kyle a Chinook, which is a puppy, because he likes to act like the
A
dogs.
Chinook.
He begs for food.
Yeah.
He just likes to act like the dogs.
Do they have Ukrainian to English flashcards at Staples?
You
I
don't-
you
I
don't
need to
think
get
so.
those.
How do you get something?
And
like
even the
that?
translator apps really are
Right.
not great.
How do you-
Not great.
How do you get that?
Some of the translations are really out there. So yeah, thankfully I was put in touch very early with some Ukrainian people in the Ukrainian community locally that have really helped me translate throughout. And even when Kyle was over there, when he would call me, I would 3-way call in one of them, and usually somebody would answer and help translate for me.
Oh my
So
goodness.
Yeah.
You have a heart of gold. And, I can't imagine. How is this on the rest of your family, knowing, not knowing? How is it on your biological kids? How is your husband handling not knowing if these 2 other boys are coming or what's going to happen to them or what bunker they're in today? And, how's he doing?
I think he's a little freaked out about them being dropped on us and just being like, oh, hey, I got to go get them.
That can
We have
happen.
2 more.
Right?
We're not financially ready for that, to be honest. Preparing for 2 more kids and just having 2 more dropped on you are 2 different stories.
What's
Of course.
Well, how much is a plane ticket to Poland right now?
I
mean-
haven't looked. I'm guessing it's probably about 1,000.
Oh, okay.
Doable.
Last week we looked, it was about 700-800. So, but I'm guessing it's going up.
Yeah.
One of our someone who had logged in on one of the text lines there wanted to know how much is an adoption process from the Ukraine.
So it's about 35,000 for one. And if you're adopting siblings, it's about 3,000 to 5,000 for each extra child.
Oh, it is. Okay.
If you're adopting unrelated, it's like almost the extra 35 per kid.
Oh, wow.
There are certain the one thing about adoption that I just want to say real quick is that most people think that you just pay the Ukrainian government a check for $35,000 and they send you the kid.
Right.
And it just takes a long time and it's ridiculous that you have to pay that much for a kid.
Right.
And it sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, but that also includes all your travel fees, all, your lodging fees, all of that
Everything
is included in that 35,000. And it's really a nickel and dime process of all different agencies in the United States and in Ukraine that you're paying for different paperwork and background checks and different things along the way. So it's not just writing one big check and paying for a child like people think it is.
I understand. So 35, I mean, that's a big chunk of change.
Sure.
I mean,
yeah,
you got to be in it. You're in it for the long haul.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so
what about other countries that are having I'm sure that Ukraine's not alone. What are the other major countries that this organization works with?
Right now, we actually only work with Ukraine.
Really?
Oh, really? Okay.
We've been working on expanding, but so far,
What makes Ukraine so different than everywhere else?
So Ukraine has the largest orphanage system
Really?
in Europe. Yeah.
Did not know that.
100,000 children.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
It actually goes back to like the 40s or 50s, and it's been a generational issue. And
so if you just don't want your kid, you take it to an orphanage?
Well, part of the problem is
I know that's
drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
And people losing their kids because of, neglect.
Drugs and alcohol, yeah.
And then when the kids age out, so the kids age out at 16, and then they're given a stipend until they're in their early 20s. If they have a child, that stipend is extended. So a lot of them then have children.
Wow.
But then when those stipends wear out in their mid to late 20s, their kids are only a couple of years old and now they can't afford them.
Wow.
So then those kids go into the system.
Oh.
So it's just an ongoing issue.
That's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
That is a horrible thing.
Yeah.
Well, we wish your family the best of luck. You have to keep us updated because all of our patriots, the We the People Podcast Network.com are going to want to know what is happening to these two boys and the rest of the boys that we saw pictures of, that families in Hilton and Honeoye and Hamlin and Penfield, I think you said, are all adopting these cute kids, trying to get them over here, and they just don't know anything. It's day to day with you guys. We are thinking about you. We're praying for you, and we hope everything works out. You'll have to text me.
Okay.
When you hear something, because that way I know our viewers and our listeners are going to want updates.
Okay.
So
as soon as I can say something,
I know.
Hopefully I'll get some news. But once I get news I can say, I will say.
See, this would be such a, I could see hosting a child. I could see doing that. I had one, was never able to have any more, always wanted more. And then we understood very quickly what the foster situation was.
Yeah.
And it's just not.
Well, if you find one that's a really good hockey player, let me know.
Okay. Well, and there are
you serious?
Sure, why not?
And there are hosting programs out of other countries. Our How doesn't work with other countries yet, but there are ones that do work with other countries as
Host Orphans Worldwide. Is it hostoorphansworldwide.org? Okay, so it's hostoorphansworldwide.org. Jill Krenzer has been our guest. She is a mom from Brockport. She's a team member of Host Orphans Worldwide, trying to get two of those little boys that you hosted, Vanya and his brother Jan, back here so they can be a part of your family and out of a war zone, for crying out loud.
Yeah, there's a lot that, I think most people have no idea what goes on in a country like Ukraine. But I mean, if we give you the microphone here for a few minutes, I mean, tell us something about what's going on and what your dreams are and what your hopes are. What are you thinking as a person here in Rochester, New York, as to what's going on in this country specifically, and how do people, how get involved, that type of thing. I don't know.
As far as hosting, or as far as the situation over there, or
what's, how do you get involved? I mean, what is it that you just kind of light bulb goes off and you say, this is what I want to do, and
I want to host this.
I want to.
You're trying to break it down, right? Like,
I mean,
how do you get from point A to point B?
I mean, how do you get, just where does
I think
your
you have a
general
calling for
feelings
that,
on it? Yeah,
right?
is it, you just woke up one morning and you said, "This is what I want to do."
Yeah, I think you have a calling. I think it's something that you get in your head and it doesn't go away.
Yeah,
right.
I think. Well, and I think that a lot of people don't even know that hosting exists, and so it's been a big passion of mine since I learned about it to spread the word about it. Like I said before, we never thought we would add an older child to our family, but now it's like he's always been there. And it's weird to us that he hasn't always been there.
Right.
And he's only been with us less than a year. And so, older kids, like not to be scared of them. And so that's a big thing. And then once people see that these older kids can still be an awesome addition to your family, and really add to it, you realize that, opening your heart and your home to them isn't really any different than your own kids.
Right.
You have your own issues with your own kids. You have your own issues with these kids,
right.
It's
It's the same.
Sometimes it might be different issues, but it's all the same,
but
really.
They're kids.
Absolutely. And all they need is love, and that's what they're dying for. And oftentimes, if there's trauma and if there's behaviors, a lot of times all they're doing is begging for you to love them, And so it is something you have to have a heart for. And what I've found is some people have the heart for it and they want to do it. And then other people have the heart to want to help the people who want to do it, you know? And so
I love that.
Yeah. And I don't care who you are, I don't care if you're the people who want to do it or if you're people who want to help. We need you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I raised every penny of our adoption fees. I raised every penny of our hosting fees. I absolutely did, because we couldn't afford it. We could afford to have Kyle home with us, but we couldn't afford $35,000 to bring him home.
So you raised that money.
My husband said, we cannot do this. We cannot afford it. And I said, you know what? If God wants us to have this child, God will provide. And I believe that God will provide. And I worked my butt off.
And God provided.
I
love you. You're the girl. I'll tell you. I mean, you have a heart. And again, don't stop Jill Krenzer. I'm just saying. Yeah. I'm just saying it right now.
Seems that way.
Good luck to your family. Keep us updated.
I will.
I appreciate you giving us your time here on Kimberly's Revolution.
Me. Absolutely. I really appreciate it.
You can be a guest anytime. And next time I see you, I want you to bring the boys in.
All right.
All of them, Jill.
Oh, I hope
3 of them.
I hope so.
Right? And your husband.
Okay.
And I want to hear the other side.
He's not much of a talker, but the other side's, I'm sure, really interesting.
I want to hear the other side. We thank our Patriots for tuning in. And of course, we really thank all of our sponsors, Taylor Heating and Plumbing, Precision Lawn and Garden, and Express Sealers. And of course, Austin. Great job today. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of our Patriots. You can go to YouTube, subscribe for free, and give us a like on YouTube, or you can go to the We the People podcast page on Facebook, right, Tom? And we even have a Twitter now, We the People Podcast Network.
Yeah, but it's spelled because network is too long.
It's
NETWK, I think.
I'll get it out there somehow. I'll do that. But that's going to do it. We'll be back. We'll be back next Tuesday. We'll update you.
I'm not going away on vacation.
Are you bailing out Chad tonight then? Of jail?
I don't know. I do have the checkbook. So
all right, very good. All right, very good. And of course, that's going to do it for us. So we appreciate everyone tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Jill, and God bless and be kind to others.
From attic to basement, we're here for you. It's quality service in all we do. Call Taylor 500 help.